What is going on, guys? This is Sorrow Angie here, and I got a live commentary of Doom Snap Mapping. I'm basically gonna give like a custom mapping 101 because I just feel like it since I'm not really gonna map anymore in Snap Map until like the third update. This is gonna be like a really long project that I'm currently working on. And yeah, I just feel like it's best to wait for like the third update and see what kind of new stuff we get. But yeah, let's get into the tutorial because I thought about doing it, so why not? So when it comes to custom mapping in Doom 2016, this is by far the best module for custom mapping, and this is called the grid module. We use it because it it seems like it has the most space. There's like another module that's also really, I mean, feels like it was designed for custom mapping too, but like just look at this height right here. It's just not really that good. And if you're gonna put like a roof right here, there's gonna be like so many lighting problems. So, and I feel like it's much smaller too. It just seems smaller. So the grid module is by far the best one, and there's kind of like no point of using any other module than this one. What else? Yeah, I think that's really it. You just basically want to use this module and really nothing else. It used to be the observation module, but ever since the grid module was finally introduced in the second update, there's no point of going back there. So, with that said, let's get into the player blocking volumes. This is by far like the heart and soul of custom mapping with the hell props or any props in this game. We're gonna turn it red. So all this stuff, basically you want to turn it on static. So what's interesting about static is that back before the update, like the second update, when you made these custom maps, you had to like use a lot of player blocking volumes, and it took up a lot of your network. But the great thing about this static is that it won't take up your network, and it won't take up much of your resources. It still takes up some of like your objects in memory, but it's very minimal, so it's not really a big deal. With that said, if you make an object static, basically there's no effect on them. Like if you want to try to delete this player blocking volume, you can't. You have to like turn it off. When I was making my courtyard remake, I thought this was like a glitch, but I eventually realized that I had to turn off the static option. So yeah, keep that in mind. Alright, we're gonna try to show you some of like the interesting things about player blocking volumes. So here's like kind of like how the texture works or the lighting effects work. Basically, if you move this, it kind of changes the textures a little bit, like if you're noticing it right now. And yeah, it also changes the color depending the location. So this texture, seems like a good texture for like, the floor. And you can also change it by changing the height here. So now there's like polka dots. And if you keep on changing it, it kind of like reduces the polka dots a bit. Actually, it does like reduce it a lot. So here's another thing that you should know. If you make like a building type of area, let me try to make it. I think it's mostly based on the height. So yeah, if you're making like a little building, there's not really like as much. Um, Basically, the player blocking volume just looks a lot more plain. There's not really like as much stuff compared to this. Especially when you reduce like the height of this thing, you start seeing a lot more texture. So that's one thing that's kind of like important to know, I guess. And oh, I forgot. So the problem with like the player blocking volume is that it only blocks the players. It doesn't block the enemies. It does block the shots. Although I've had moments where like the imp would throw a fireball and it still goes through it, and I think that's a glitch. But it should pretty much block their shots. So what a lot of mappers would do to prevent the enemies going through them is called barricading. There's two options, but barricading seems to be the best one in my opinion, and I'll tell you why eventually. So basically they would kind of like grab this item, make it static so it doesn't cost any network, and just kind of like hide it like here. uh, there we go. So yeah, basically this is pretty much like the best thing you can possibly do to make these player blocking volumes feel like a real object. And it's definitely not really fun to do. It can be time consuming if you have like a lot of objects like this. So it's best to like listen to music or something when you're barricading. And here's the second option. This is what I used to do. I used to use like a box trigger, and this one saves a lot more time. However, basically you make a box trigger, and then you would like, where's the teleportation? Yeah, you would create like one or two teleportation destination. Basically, if any enemies goes like through the player blocking volume, they'll teleport to like here. But I didn't really like it because I just feel like if someone is like not the map designer and they play this map on the first time, it's just gonna be really awkward. And they're not gonna have any idea where they're gonna teleport. So that's another problem. So with that said, it's best to just barricade it. And I think that's really it for player blocking volume. So now we can get into like the hell props or props in general. So the hell props are by far the best thing ever. Like when I first used them, I felt like they weren't really as versatile. I mean, I thought they were good, but I just feel like the versatility would eventually reduce once I start using them more, but I was completely wrong. There's like so many great things you can do with this thing. For example, where like you can use this object here. You can like probably use it for decoration purposes or create some kind of wall, but at the same time you can also use this like a roof. This like space right here can definitely make it look nice for like a roof. And so here's an interesting technique right here. Basically, you don't have to like follow what what the developers want you to use these objects. Like this object right here is supposed to be like a candle, but you can actually use it and turn it into like a mushroom tree. So here's the problem here. If you kind of like duplicate it like this, like the normal way, sometimes you can put it all the way down and then sometimes you can't. Like last time, wait, let me do it. Let me watch. Oh, well, the thing is, sometimes you can't like put it all the way down, and it's really frustrating. And it definitely makes it annoying if you want to like use these objects in a different type of technique. But here's a really good trick that you can do. So you want to hold the options, action button or whatever it's called, and then you kind of want to duplicate it. If you're on console, I highly recommend you to claw your controller because you need to like do it really quickly. So when you do that, you can totally conveniently place these items like much easier without the whole frustration of just doing like the intended way and then just trying to like turn it over and just hope you get lucky. Although there's still a little bit of luck involved in this. Sometimes it doesn't really work as well as it should, and then sometimes it does. But this one is much easier from my experience. And then you have the UAC themed props. I really don't see them being that useful unless like you want to experiment with them a lot. But it's just like a lot of these objects, they're just really bland. Like, if I want to try to like create some sort of wall, I can like use this window here, but it's really not that interesting to look at. So I'll say like the UAC themed items, they're a lot more advanced compared to like the hell props, where I feel like most people can just figure out what to do with them as long as they're using their imagination. And yeah, that's pretty much it for custom mapping 101. Everything else is really just all about, your imagination and maybe getting inspired by other, maps or other mappers. For example, this area right here. I recently played a map by Behemoth Programmer. I think it's called Behemoth's Palace. It's like the 10th mission map or whatever. And I really loved how he basically grabbed like these UAC themed modules and he would use like a bunch of hell props and just create like his own entire map out of it, and it plays nothing similarly to like the UAC module based map, and it's just really cool. So I kind of got inspired and doing the same thing here, although I still got a lot of work to do. But this map is gonna be my biggest and most complex map, uh, for real. So I'm just waiting till like the third update comes out, and then I can really start, messing around with it. And yeah, I think that's really all I gotta say for custom mapping. Without a doubt, it is a lot more funner and a lot more enjoyable than like using the pre-modules because it makes your map feel more unique. But at the same time, there's kind of like a price to that. It's much more time consuming. Like, my god, I can probably like make a decent map by using like the presets in just like a couple of hours. But for like a custom map, it can take days or even weeks. It just depends like how much time you have. And yeah, I hope you guys find this video useful. And I'll try to like think of some more videos to upload. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos, guys.